Ford Focus RS very recently. If you've been watching my videos, you will know what the three mods are, but I will start off just by going through each of the mods individually, and then we'll talk about how they work together. So, starting off, the first one that I did was the short shift plate from COBB. Now this is a plate that clamps and bolts directly onto the shift arm that exists in the RS, so it has the benefit of not having to remove the stock arm. So the installation is very easy by comparison, relatively quick, and the main benefit obviously of that part is to shorten the throw, and it most certainly does that. I put it in the 30% position. It is adjustable. You can choose between 20, 30 and 40% reduction in throw. I chose right in the middle, 30%, just because I thought 20 might not be quite enough, 40 might be a little too much, and I think I was pretty bang on with my choice. So yeah, 30% reduction in throw, you definitely notice, it definitely works very, very well. So beyond the actual benefit, which is shortening the throw, it had a bit of a side effect, which was to make shifting very heavy. It was quite a lot heavier, in fact, and I suspect if I had went with the 40% position, it would have been very, very heavy, almost too heavy. I will admit, the first couple of days I thought to myself, is this a bit much? Am I going to have to back out of this? But luckily I didn't. I'm not sure if it loosened up after a few weeks or if I just got used to it, but it did feel better after a few weeks. But it still was noticeably heavy. In particular, getting it into first gear was quite often very heavy to do indeed. So that is probably the main negative. The heaviness did make it feel a bit more positive. Before it was so light, it was hard to know if you were really in gear or not. And certainly after the shift plate, the heaviness meant, okay, yeah, I know I'm in gear here, but it was a little bit annoying, to the point where I actually thought that the heaviness was actually slowing me down and sort of negating or neutralizing the effects of the shorter throw. So it almost was a little bit pointless overall by itself. But like I said, I got used to it after a few weeks, and it did feel like a worthwhile mod to do, even just on its own. I did, though, have plans for the second shifter mod, also in the same kind of area, was the solid shifter cable bushings. Now, I got mine from Psycho Developments. You can get them from other sources. All the different places that you get them from use roughly the same kind of design, which is to entirely replace the OEM plastic-y rubbery bushings for solid aluminium ones, made of aluminium, very high-grade aluminium, so they're strong but very light. They weren't too difficult to install, just a little bit fiddly to get the stock bushings out. A bit of a negative with them, of course, like I mentioned in the video at the time, is you can't go back to stock. Whenever you do that, you do have to destroy the stock bushings to get them out. So you have to sort of take a bit of a leap of faith with these, but I think it is worth it overall. So the idea behind replacing your stock bushings with these solid bushings is to remove excess movement in the shifter, and by doing that then you're removing the feeling of vagueness. A good word to use would be notchy. Indeed, it does just that. Shifting after doing the bushings, it felt like there was really a bit of a clunk. It did really feel like pushing it into a predefined slot. It kind of made me think of those old sports cars that had the manual transmissions with that metal plate that had the edge pattern actually like in it, so the stick actually had to go into the slot to be in gear. That's kind of what it makes me think of. So that was really cool. It makes for a really positive shifter feel, and they definitely work. They definitely do that. So in combination with the heaviness that we introduced with the first mod, it became very much a case that you had to be dead accurate, and if you got it wrong, which was quite a possibility because of the heaviness, it was very unforgiving in the sense that you could easily miss a gear, and of course if you miss a gear, you're going slow. It kind of negates the point of upgrading your shifter components, and it makes you look like a bit of a tool on the road if you're just grinding your gears. Of course, over time you would learn to get better, I suppose. You would learn to get used to it, but of course it is a little bit of a drawback, just how unforgiving it was, the combination. That kind of moves us on to part 3 and what is currently the final part of my shifter upgrades, and that is the heavy weighted shift knob. So the knob that I got was from Likewise. They are an Australian company that do beautifully machined products, and they just look great, and they do it all with a sense of humor, which is fantastic. I really love it. And and the one that I went for was the thick boy, just because it's a nice smooth shape. It is also an elongated knob, which I'll talk about in a second, and also because of the weight, 500 grams is quite a significant upgrade. The stock shifter, I believe, is 154 grams, so it is significantly heavier than stock. So the question then is, why did I feel the need to add a heavy weighted shift knob on as the third part of my shifter upgrades? The theory behind the weighted shift knob is that the heavy weight, when you place it at the end of your shifter, is that it will carry more kinetic energy and momentum when set in motion. Now, set in motion is me pushing it like that. So what does it mean for me in terms of my shifting? The momentum that the heavy knob is carrying reduces the shift effort, and that makes it feel easier. So it's kind of almost like the weighted shift knob is helping me to get into gear. It's helping to push the gear into place. In so doing, we negate the negative that we introduced with the short shift plate, which is the heaviness. Also then, because it is this elongated shape as opposed to a circle or ball, it completely changes the way that I actually move the shift knob. So before it would have been sort of more like this kind of thing, but now it's more twisted 90 degrees like this. Before I was moving my wrist a lot to get a different position for moving into each gear, but now what I can do with this shape of knob is I can hold it in one position and I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and not have to change my hand at all. So that removes just one little extra thing to think about. It's one less movement, it's less slowing down. So that little bit of extra saving will hopefully help to increase speeds, but also it just feels really nice. It feels really comfortable and I just really like it. And so then in combination with reducing that heaviness, it makes everything just feel really, really nice and it feels really super duper smooth, really buttery, silky smooth. So I mentioned before about the first gear being quite hard to get in. Now not an issue at all. So the thick boy, the weighted shift knob, you don't have to get a thick boy, you can get something else. There's various ones on the market, but the weighted shift knob, it really, really does the job that I wanted it to do. So you can see the benefits that we've added and the negatives that we have removed. So all of these mods are working in combination with each other and are just a great combination of mods to do, and I really enjoy my new shifter feel and it's just great. So for now I am going to leave the shifter mods there. There are more things that can be done, of course. I could do the shifter base bushings, I could do the cable bracket bushings, for example, but I'll leave those for the future. I want to move on to some other things, and for now, like I say, I am very, very happy with the progress that I've made with the shifter. It is just super duper nice now. I hope you see the logic behind the 3 different mods that I've done to the shifter and how it has improved the shifter overall. If you didn't watch the individual videos, I will throw a link down in the description box below so you can jump over and see those being done. So yeah, I mean, I hope you go and watch them and like them. I hope you like this little video explaining just exactly what is going on with the shifter. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe for more content to come very, very soon. Thank you once again. Goodbye.